Now, we're going to cover the freedom and flexibility thing in a moment, because everyone tells us we're in this business for freedom and flexibility, all right? So remember those two equations. You want to write these down. Freedom and flexibility without discipline equals bankruptcy. Okay? Freedom and flexibility without discipline equals bankruptcy. And then the second equation is discipline equals freedom. The more disciplined we are with anything, the more we have of it. Now, I want to clear up what the word discipline means, because most people feel a negative feeling, right, when they hear the word discipline. Why do you think we feel a negative feeling when we hear that word?
It takes us out of our comfort zone.
Well, it takes us out of our comfort zone. It's forcing us to change something, possibly, right? It connotates work, right?
Well, you grew up when you were disciplined, you did something bad.
Very good. Awesome. When we were younger, when we were disciplined, that means we did something bad or wrong or whatever it may be. If you look at the word discipline, however, it comes from the root word disciple. So what discipline really means is to be the follower of a principle. That's what the word disciple means, to be a follower of a principle or to be the follower of a certain set of principles. So we want you to be disciplined in business principles. Be the follower of business principles. That's what discipline means, okay? Take action. Action, 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 action. And you can see here we say, practice the rule of 5. Take 5 specific steps towards the fulfillment of your promises every day. 5 steps every day. How can I take 5 steps every day? Pretty easy. Lead generate. That's a step right there, right? Lead follow-up. There's a step right there. Tell my husband or my wife I love them. There's a step right there. Set aside an hour to spend time with your children. There's a step right there. Go for a walk for 20 minutes or a half an hour. There's a step right there. There's 5 steps. You see, every day we can make sure that we put 5 steps into our routine that moves us closer to our promises. In order to do that, we have to have what? Promises. We have to have promises, right? Now, some of you have done that, and some of you haven't. If you haven't set promises yet, it's for one of 2 reasons. First, you haven't learned how to do it yet, or you've learned it, but just haven't been able to muster the courage, say, to write them out, right? We want to make sure that we get you over that hump and that you write them out. When we do the mastermind later, we'll get into that too, okay? And then be willing to keep score. What does keeping score mean in our business? What does it mean in our business? Tracking, right? So it could be tracking closed transactions. I like tracking the activities myself, because when we track the activities, we know that it's automatically going to lead to the results we're looking for. So the activities in our business are number of contacts, right? Bless you. Number of contacts, lead follow-up, appointments. And by the way, when we show you what's available for free on our website later on this afternoon, we have free tracking tools on there for every single one of you. You can go in and log on and track every single thing that you're doing in your business for free. And it'll develop ratios for you and tell you how many people you have to talk to on a weekly basis to make whatever kind of amount of money you want to make this year. But tracking is important. Why is tracking so important?
So you know where you're at?
Right. You know where you're at, and why else?
Where you going?
And if you set a track, you know how many contacts it takes to make a lead, how many leads.
It gives us certainty, doesn't it? It gives us certainty. We know that if we talk to so many people, we're going to earn X amount of dollars. If we have so many closings, we're going to earn X amount of dollars. Michael.
A point on this, too, I think that's important, is in using this tool, I was working with a client this week who put her numbers into the success tracker for the first week, And she saw some things she didn't like, but it didn't take her 3 or 4 or 5 weeks to realize that. She saw it within 3 days of putting her numbers in. So we were able to make some decisions on our call on Monday to do things differently this week than she did last week. And that's the key.
Yes,
Well,
Ruth.
I think that's absolutely right. Numbers don't lie, and it gives you clarity.
Yes.
What's really going on, because we can make things up in our mind and try to gloss over it. But numbers give complete clarity.
Well, here's typically how we think. Typically we think is, well, if we're not on track right now, I'll make up for that in the second half of the year. All right? I'll make up for that in the third quarter. I'll make up for that whenever. However, it's very difficult to get caught up when you fall behind. So knowing where we stand at all times is very important, okay? So we're going to show you how to track your numbers for free to know where you stand all the time. I think sometimes we think we know in our heads, but when it's on paper, it's a little bit different. Okay? All right, earlier I made a very bold statement, and it was forget about time management, move into time mastery. We want you to master your time. Because every single thing that we do as business people, pay very close attention to the next statement, okay? Every single thing we do as business people matters. Every single thing we do counts. There's no such thing to a successful business person as only 20 minutes, as only a half an hour, as only $100. As only this, as only that. Everything counts. We're in a very competitive business, right? And do you think it's getting less competitive or more? More, right? You have to want to win, and you have to come to the consensus in our own minds that everything we do counts, and it does. Because if you're not going to do it, guess what? Someone else is going to, all right? So if you don't have a calendar, you are not in business, okay? If you don't have a calendar, this is a hobby for you. And that's okay if it's a hobby for you, but don't have any more expectations from the business other than it will be a hobby for you. If you don't have a calendar, you are not in business. Why is a calendar so important? Keep you on track, right? Keep you focused. Why else? Keep you organized. Yep. Keep going. Hi. David, you were saying something?
Commitment, have a plan,
Have a plan.
it's a commitment.
It's a commitment.
Well, and after you analyze it after the fact, it tells you what works and what doesn't.
There you go. It's another form of tracking tool, right? It lets you know what works and what doesn't. One of the most difficult words for us to say in our personal lives and in business is the word no. Is the word no. Oh, why don't you just come to this meeting this afternoon and we'll sit around and have coffee and discuss the real estate business? No. I have lead generation to do today. I have lead follow-up to do today. I have this to do today. Having a schedule helps us with that. Now, many of you have seen my schedule. I brought copies of it here, so if you want, we'll hand it out at the break. Now, of course, I don't stick to that schedule 100% every single day. Nobody can do that. I don't care who the person is. No one can do that. However, I stick to it about 75% of the way. And if you can get in that range, you will see that you can become super, super productive. But without a calendar, we're not in business. We're maybe having fun at a hobby, or more importantly, not having fun at a hobby. We'll say, why isn't this working for me? Schedule everything. Scheduling allows you to know when to say yes and when to say no.